Hello, here we are live at the South King County Alano Club on Harvey Avenue in Auburn, Washington. This is Sober in Seattle. I am Dennis, and I'll host this today. And I have a couple of home group members with me. We are all home group members of Evergreen South Breakfast Group, who meets here on Sundays at 9 a.m. to 10:30. So you're all welcome to come on down and join us. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the pandemic and how that affected meetings and if it affected your sobriety. And then when live meetings came back and Zoom meetings and the dreaded hybrid meetings. So I'll take a couple of minutes and my fellow home group members can introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Dana. I've been a home group member of the Evergreen South Breakfast Group for, oh my God, going on about 23 years or so. And I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
And I'm Aaron. Been a home group member for the past 9.5 years, I would say.
Hey, thank you. And I appreciate you guys both being here. I think the first thing we'll talk about is when that pandemic came out and it started shutting down meetings, how that affected, if it affected you at all, and if you did anything different for your sobriety. And I'll start first. I was a regular member at the Federal Way Men's Stag on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. And when the pandemic started and it got shut down, I started meeting with a fellow sober brother of mine, Chuck P., who got sober in March of 2015, and I got sober in April of 2015. And we just started meeting at Game Farm Park, and we would just sit out there first, and we would just talk and catch up on stuff. And didn't matter if it was raining or snowing, we just bring our chairs out and umbrellas. And then eventually we started to just walk. So we generally walk about 5 miles Saturday mornings, and we talk. And I love him dearly, and he's a great guy to have around. And what's interesting about that is I'm not going to go back to Federal Way Men's Stag. I've been there a handful of times in the past year, but this new meeting that I have with Chuck means a lot to me. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
Makes sense.
All right.
So how did it affect you, if it did at all? And did you do anything different, Dana?
Okay, well, for me, I've been around for a couple days, and so my home group is Sunday morning, and that's the meeting that I would make every week. I was going to a women's meeting on Saturday mornings down here at the club as well. Kind of would call it my home group, but then I have some other interests outside of AA that I would go, and every once in a while I'd miss that meeting on Saturday. Have a book study with some sober sisters that has been going on for lots of years, and so I feel like my sobriety is pretty solid. But when the pandemic hit, and it affected me greatly. I had just not lost, but I just retired from a job that I was at for a long time, and I had a little part-time job, and trying to do my yoga stuff. And then when the pandemic hit, everything shut down. I got laid off from my other job, and so everything for me went to Zoom, and all of my teaching went to Zoom, and I was super grateful that the meetings went to Zoom as well. And I was Zooming more meetings because I was so isolated, right? And it was a time where I felt isolated. A lot was going on personally, and I was super grateful to have those other meetings that I could Zoom into. And I've Zoomed into meetings from all over the place, all over the country and other countries. And, it was just really, for me, a lifesaver to stay connected to recovery, and also, to hear new people share, to hear, from outside of my little corner of the world, and to hear other people share their experience, strength, and hope was good for me.
Thank you, Dana. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge change when meetings, everything shut down really, but a couple of friends from a different meeting here that normally met at the club started meeting at a park, and, just, being pretty tech savvy, I kind of helped get Zoom stuff going on, and that was a large source of my meetings in the beginning, is on Zoom and helping other meetings get set up. And yeah, I mean, I did everything I could to, when I was drinking, to find that drink. So I had to go to any lengths to continue getting my fix of meetings.
Well, I know that we were all able to adapt pretty quickly. And I do know that the one meeting, that rush hour meeting that is at 6 o'clock on Mondays, that I went to all the time because they got that up and running on a Zoom meeting pretty quickly. So I know I was grateful for that. So, okay, how about next we move on to, and I'll go to Aaron first this time. What were your thoughts when the meetings opened up again, and did you feel like coming back to them right away?
Yeah, I was at that point. I was pretty ecstatic when they were starting to open back up, and I've been going to them since day one. That they, at least at the club level, was probably the first place that I knew of that were open back up, and started attending them pretty much right away.
Were you wearing masks and stuff?
Yes, we were wearing masks.
And the social distance?
Yep, exactly.
Cleaning up afterwards and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Dana?
Well, I was a little more hesitant to come back to live meetings at the club here and anywhere really. I was, like I said, deeply affected by all of the isolation for one, and my head will play games with me sometimes, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm not ready to go back and see people in person yet. And I had some people that are close to me that were compromised health wise, and I just was feeling like I needed to be safer. And super glad that the meetings did open back up when they did, and that they were following protocol and how requiring people to wear masks and trying to keep this place as clean as possible. But for me, I was just really grateful that I had the choice, right?
Right.
I could choose to still make my home group meeting and choose to see the few people that were showing up at the beginning, and then it's kind of started getting bigger and bigger, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back in person. But I was really grateful to have the choice.
I know I was also a little bit apprehensive. I do remember, because I'm not the healthiest guy in the world, and I don't want to get COVID. Believe me, that scared me a lot. But I do remember coming here. This was, I think, the first live meeting I came to again, and there was a lot of, gosh, do we touch each other? Do we hug each other? What is going on? Masks stayed on, and it was an antiseptic smelling place, and I remember that. But yeah, I wasn't all in when it first showed up, but I do come now to this meeting every day, or every Sunday, I should say, the home group, Evergreen South Breakfast group, 9 a.m. on Sundays. So,
Plug it.
yeah, at the South King County Alano Club. So I do know that just a couple of, I know, like I talked earlier about the rush hour meeting. Now that meeting will never go live again, only because of the church has a very strict size limit to that meeting. And at its heyday, we would have as many as 40 to 50 people in a very small area. So that meeting is going to stay on Zoom, as far as I can tell, for however long it's going to be. But that meeting seems to work out very well. So I do know now that Evergreen South Breakfast Group has a hybrid meeting, and I think this is probably going to be where we're going to have difference of opinions on how effective that is. So, Dana, what do you think about hybrid meeting here at Evergreen South Breakfast Group?
Well, I mean, I just think that this is the best meeting on the planet. So I feel like it should be available to whoever wants to come, however they want to get there. And I find that, I understand the differences of opinions, and I get all of that. And really, I just base my feelings on, the tradition. I guess it's what it is, a tradition number 5, that our primary purpose is to serve, to help others, and to serve alcoholics that are still suffering. And I personally don't like getting up and talking at the podium either. I would much rather stay in my seat and talk. But it seems to be a small price to pay to serve those that still feel like they need to come in via Zoom. And and I also understand that that we have group conscience, and so whether or not that meeting stays hybrid is not up to me. It's not up to me, and I'll be able to live with whatever rolls down the pike in the future. But I really do feel like as long as there's somebody showing up, that we should be there.
Yeah. Do you ever feel a disconnect between the people that are in the room and the people that are on the Zoom meeting at all?
Personally, I don't. And I mean, I just feel like it's a choice, right? Like I can choose to stare up at the screen, or I can choose to look around the room and see my brothers and sisters in the room. And you know to be perfectly honest, I've got some other things that are going on in my world where it's more convenient for me to zoom in on a particular Sunday because I have something else right before the meeting or right after the meeting that is on Zoom, right? I don't think Zoom is going anywhere. I think that a lot of people are going to be working on Zoom, you know, for the unforeseeable future, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I understand the feeling of disconnect, but I also feel that we kind of choose how we feel, and I can choose to feel disconnected, or I can choose to feel plugged in, and I choose to feel plugged in.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see people on the screen or in the room.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. What do you think about all that, Aaron, of the Zoom meetings or the hybrid meetings at Evergreen South Breakfast Group?
I will preface this with I think it serves its purpose or has served its purpose. Um, I think it was great when in-person meetings first opened up. Um, there was not a whole lot of people coming to the in-person in the very beginning, and we did the hybrid, and it worked. And then when things started opening back up, you know, it was 90% in the room and the rest on Zoom. I personally feel a disconnect. Um, Maybe not just for the Zoom aspect, but as a group as a whole, I think it, in my opinion, is kind of tearing the group apart. Um, there's a lot logistically that goes into making a hybrid work. Um, I don't mind going up to the podium to talk, but I know that there's quite a few people, whether they're new or whatever, that won't share because they don't want to go up and talk at the podium. I know there's people that refuse to come to the meeting when it's a hybrid. Um, and then, you kind of look at the aspect of, in our particular meeting, we have a webcam in the room and a microphone. And it kind of goes back to, I know we did it in the beginning. Went to any lengths to, stay sober and meet online. That was the only option we had. But I also think it's against traditions. It's about anonymity, and we have been hacked and infiltrated by nefarious people and displaying inappropriate stuff, which I'm not offended by, but some people can be. And I know there's people that are worried about kind of anonymity with having a webcam. And in this particular meeting, on the logistics side of things, there's somebody that there's a couple people that agreed to host the meeting where they start it, let people in the room, kind of try to vet people coming in the room that are legitimately there for meetings. And then there's somebody in the room that's got to start the meeting, connect all the devices. make sure it's all put away so the stuff doesn't disappear. And yeah, it can work, and we've made it work. I would like to see, if we're going on the lines of helping the still suffering alcoholic, if it's kind of a catch-22. If we're having Zoom and it's allowing those people to attend that normally wouldn't attend, or they're worried about health reasons, versus people won't come to the meeting because it's hybrid. So there's a lot of different aspects to it. So, just like Dana said, it's a group conscience type of deal. It's not up to me. And the group up to this point has spoken to keep it hybrid.
Yeah, and I think there's also a position that's been created too to do the setup in the morning, correct, for plugging in everything, and that's an alternating thing, I believe, every once in a while. I think that online they've got it figured out, but I'm not sure if we've got it figured out now. On Sunday morning, who comes in live and plugs everything in to get that up and running? Because somebody has to do that, correct?
Correct. There's not a schedule or a specific position that was created. It's just people that have volunteered. I'll do it one day a week. There's people that have volunteered that are hardly at the meeting. So it makes it kind of hard. And, I don't mind helping out. So I'm not trying to be like a bad guy here, but, I've been doing it since the very beginning, and I've tried to step away. And along with, logistics of making the hybrid work, you have trying to enforce people to come up to the microphone and talk. We've got to a point where we announce it at the beginning of the meeting, and then it's an option if you want to come up to the mic, and then you have people on Zoom texting people in the room we can't hear, or we can't see who's talking. And, that stuff adds up and becomes kind of annoying. It's like, what did you do before Zoom? In my opinion, that's my selfish thinking that comes to my head. And so,
yeah. Well, you've got more responsibility than a normal guy showing up to the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, that you don't get to relax.
No.
As soon as something's not working, it's like, where's Aaron?
I'd like to, because I need to work on myself and my recovery. And if I'm constantly concentrating or worrying about how the hybrid's going, or people online are able to hear or see, I'm not getting what I can out of the meeting. And so, I kind of said I was stepping away, but me, myself, I always find my way back in and can't be out of it completely.
Yeah. I know that our home group has voted on this a couple of times, and I'm sure we're going to vote on it again in 6 months, because I think that's what we decided, just to see what the next 6 months are going to be like. I don't think Zoom's going away. And just kind of on a personal thing here, not well, be personal. I know there's a guy in another meeting who's only been to Zoom meetings, and he's got no desire to go to a live meeting. So he's a guy that I'd like to talk to if I can get him out here.
Yeah.
To talk, because there's a lot of people like that have gotten sober, and I got to give them all kinds of credit for getting sober on Zoom and during the pandemic. So that's remarkable.
For sure. And I just want to commend Aaron and, for all the service work that you did and continue to do, because you were there and you are the backbone of how this meeting continued through the pandemic. And I don't know that people give you enough, love for that, because that was a big job. And, whether or not it stays hybrid, I think it was a couple business meetings back where we sort of made up a tentative schedule, and I'm coming the second Sunday of every month and hooking it up and doing that, and I had thought at that point in time that because I feel for you, I really do, and I had thought that, okay, maybe we can have a sigh of relief now because we have other people that are stepping up to do this part for you. and then it doesn't seem like that there's been follow through. And so there's frustration, right? There's certainly frustration. Um, and then I think that there's also just, we could go back and forth for days on, you know, the traditions and the principles of the program, and how you can look at it from this angle or look at it from that angle. And really what it comes down to is that we're going to have a group conscience again, and then another decision will be made. um, for me personally, I know that there are a couple of people that I don't see anymore because they have decided that I'm not coming to this meeting if it's hybrid. And it hurts, right? Like, it hurts. I miss those people. um, but you kind of just have to let everybody do what they got to do for their own recovery. And I'm not taking anybody's inventory about why they're on Zoom and why they're not in the room. And I'm not, I just like do my own thing and stay in my own little hula hoop. That's what my sponsor told me to do a long time ago. And I just try and make this thing available, try to do whatever I can to make this thing available, for everyone.
Right.
Regardless.
And I appreciate the recognition, but it's not my purpose of it. And I just ultimately, it's maybe more or less the lack of people that make themselves available at that meeting to do service work, or if
Right.
they commit to doing something to do
Right.
it.
Oh yeah. I know you're not out for the
Yeah.
pat on the back, but I do also think that you deserve it.
Yeah. Well,
And
I appreciate that. And,
other people do need to step up and help us out.
Yeah. And I, along with the Zoom meeting too, is like, I was probably one of the big pushers in the, in the initial phases to do away with the hybrid. And I understand that hurt a lot of people's feelings that were attending on Zoom on a regular basis. And, I don't want it to seem that that's my intention, that I'm trying to exclude anybody. There's just a lot of work to make it work. And I think that, me initially proposing that was not to get rid of the Zoom at all, but just to separate the in-person and the Zoom. Because I believe, and I guess I can go back to my opinion about the hybrid thing, is that we make the meeting that it is on our own. What happens in a meeting isn't necessarily, the doing of other people. It's what we put into it or don't put into a meeting that makes it. So.
Right. And I do know there's other meetings down here in Auburn that will have a live meeting, and then there is a separate Zoom meeting now. So you can either be live or you can go to Zoom, but they don't connect with each other. So I don't know if that's good or bad, or they're doing their own thing, and I'm imagining they're getting something out of it.
I meant that my other meeting I go to on a regular basis is at 1 Street in Auburn at 7:00. We have two separate meetings. We started up doing the Zoom thing in the beginning, and then when the club opened back up, we actually moved the in-person meeting down to the club for several months.
And which club was that?
The South King Lawn Club.
Okay.
And then that had its purpose, and then the church that we originally met at opened back up for meetings, so we moved the meeting back to there. And we get 20 to 30 people on a weekly basis, and anywhere from 4 to 5 people on the Zoom, but they're completely separate. So
right. So you got a separate facilitator and everything. So we're a secretary.
I mean, I still start the Zoom meeting because everybody's using the district account.
Okay.
Zoom account, and and then I just turn the meeting over to whoever's chairing it for that day.
Okay.
So
Well, nice. Well, we've been able to ramp up, I think, unless somebody else wants to add something. Anybody got just one more thing they want to put out there? Or
I just want to say that the Evergreen South Breakfast group is the best meeting on the planet, and you should come to it. That's what I want to say.
where's that at?
That's it.
No, where's it at?
It's at the Ilano Club, the South King County Ilano Club, in the big room.
In the big room, yeah. I do remember when we were having this meeting, the Evergreen South Breakfast Group meeting on Zoom. There were quite a few times we had multiple pages on my Zoom on my computer.
70 people.
Sometimes 3 pages.
Yeah.
You'd have to see who all was there, and that was interesting. But anybody else want to add anything?
no,
No? I really want to say that I appreciate you both coming down here and talking. It's been fun, and we don't know where this is going to go, but you know, this is fun. This, I think, is our 3rd podcast. Stay tuned for more. I'm not sure where we're going to put it, where we're going to publish it, but I do know that you can get the information on the Intergroup site, their website, Seattle Intergroup, AA.org.
SeattleAA.org.
Okay. So on behalf of Aaron and Dana, I'm going to say something that my sponsor likes to say, that if nobody's told you today that they love you, we love each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.